All right, I'm going to show you how to modify the ProCo Rat into a hybrid version of the Rat, the Fat Rat, and the Turbo Rat. For this modification, we're going to need a 10 UF capacitor, a 4.7 UF capacitor, 2 LEDs. I'm using 2 green LEDs. The Turbo Rat does use red LEDs, but I am going to use green to get a little bit more clarity and headroom. Two 2.2 meg resistors and one 10K resistor. Okay, I already unsoldered all the parts that we're going to be removing and replacing, so I'm just going to be pulling them out as we go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this capacitor right here on the top. This is a 1 UF capacitor, and we're going to replace it with our 10 UF capacitor. Now, when you're looking at a capacitor, the long stem is the positive, the short stem is the negative, and the negative is also usually marked by a line of some sort. But we're going to make sure that the long stem, the positive, is on the bottom side, and the short stem, negative, is on the top side. So it should look something like that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace this capacitor right here on top of the switch. That's a 2.2 UF capacitor. We're going to replace that with our 4.7 UF capacitor. Again, pay attention to the orientation of the capacitor. The long stem on the right side and the short stem on the left side. Okay, it should look something like that. Okay, next we're going to remove this resistor right here to the right side of that transistor, this one right there. That's a 1 meg resistor. We're going to remove that and replace it with our 2.2 meg resistor. And that is R10. Okay, yours should look something like that. We put our 2.2 meg resistor in R10. All right, next we're going to remove the resistor right here on the top of these three here. We're going to remove that one. And that also is a 1 meg resistor, and we're going to replace it with the other 2.2 meg resistor, and that is R4. All right, yours should look like that. R4 is 2.2 meg now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the 2 clipping diodes here, and we're going to replace them with LEDs. Now, when you're looking at an LED, just like the capacitor, the long stem is the positive and the short stem is the negative. When you see the diodes in here, you'll see a stripe on one side, that'll be the negative. So we'll make sure when we put our LED in that on the top one, the short stem goes on the left side and the long stem goes on the right side. It should look something like that. And we're going to do the opposite, but the same on the bottom. We're going to make sure the short stem is on the right side and the long stem is on the left side. And it should look something like that. All right, the last thing we're going to do is going to be optional. The ProCo Rat does have this 10K resistor across the outer lugs of the distortion knob. This is going to drastically change the sound. In the demo, I'm going to do the demo with and without this resistor, but this mod requires you to put a 10K resistor across the outer lugs. You can stick the resistor in those holes and just solder it there. Just make sure that the leads aren't touching the metal cap right here. All right, yours should look something like that. All that's left to do is to put it together and test it out.